long ago and far away, in a land that time forgot. Before the days of Dylan or the dawn of Camelot, there lived a race of innocents, and they were you and me, long ago and far away, in the land that made me, me. Oh, there was truth and goodness in that land where we were born, where navels were for oranges and Peyton Place was porn. For Ike was in the White House, and Hoss was on TV, and God was in his heaven, in the land that made me, me. We learned to gut a muffler. The girls washed their hair at dawn and spread their crinolines out to dry in circles on the lawn. And we could hear them coming all the way to Tennessee, all starched and sprayed and rumbling in the land that made me, me. We longed for love and romance, and the girls waited for their prince. And Eddie Fisher married Liz, and no one's seen him since. We danced to Little Darlin' and sang to Stagger Lee and cried for Buddy Holly in the land that made me, me. Only girls wore earrings then, and 3 was one too many, and only boys wore flat-top cuts, except for Gene McKinney. And only in our wildest dreams did we expect to see a boy named George with lipstick in the land that made me, me. Girls fell for Frankie Avalon. Annette, oh, she was so nice. And when they made a movie, they never made it twice. We didn't have a Star Trek V or Psycho 2 or 3 or Rocky Rambo 20 in the land that made me, me. Miss Kitty had a heart of gold, and Chester had a limp. And Reagan was a Democrat whose co-star was a chimp. We had a Mr. Wizard, but not a Mr. T. And Oprah couldn't talk yet in the land that made me, me. We had our share of heroes. We never thought they'd go. At least not Bobby Darin or especially Marilyn Monroe. For youth was still eternal and life was yet to be. And Elvis was forever in the land that made me, me. We'd never seen the rock band that was grateful to be dead, and airplanes weren't named Jefferson, and Zeppelins were not lead, and Beatles lived in gardens then, and monkeys in a tree. Madonna was a virgin in the land that made me, me. We'd never heard of microwaves or telephones in cars, and babies might be bottle-fed, but they were not grown in jars. Pumping iron got wrinkles out, and gay meant fancy-free. And dorms were never co-ed in the land that made me, me. We hadn't seen enough of jets to talk about the lag, and microchips were what was left at the bottom of the bag. And hardware was a box of nails, and bytes came from a flea. And rocket ships were fiction in the land that made me, me. Buicks came with portholes, and sideshows came with freaks. And bathing suits came big enough to cover both your cheeks. And Coke came just in bottles. Skirts came to the knee, and Castro came to power in the land that made me, me. We had no Crest with fluoride. We had no Hill Street Blues. The girls wore superstructure bras designed by Howard Hughes. There were no patterned pantyhose or Lipton herbal tea or primetime ads for condoms in the land that made me, me. There were no golden arches, no Perrier to chill, and fish were not called Wanda, and cats were not called Bill. And middle age was 35, and old was 43. And ancient were our parents in the land that made me, me. But all things have a season, or so we've heard them say. And now instead of Maybelline, we swear by Retin A. And they send us invitations to join AARP. We've come a long way, baby, from the land that made me, me. So now we face a brave new world in slightly larger jeans and wonder why they use such smaller print in all the magazines. And we tell our children's children of the way it used to be, long ago and far away, in the land that made me, me.